PanPastels are one of my favorite new art materials, and today is a good opportunity to do a tutorial on them. I've always loved pastels, but there's a new kid on the block. So let's get started. These pastels are a unique form of dry pigment that comes in a compact, cake-like form. They offer artists a wide range of possibilities and are great for blending, layering, and creating rich textures. Before we delve into specific techniques, let's talk about the importance of choosing the right paper. Watercolor papers and papers with rough textures, such as my favorite Paintbrush, are great starting points. Additionally, a sheet of paper towel will also come in handy for cleaning and blending. The right paper can greatly enhance the final result of your artwork. There are many ways to blend PanPastels, whether you use an applicator, your finger, paper, blending stumps, sponges. The choice is yours. As you experiment, you'll find the way that suits you best. Additional tools and materials we will be using today include water, glue, an eraser, a stamp, masking tape, and stencils. First, let's start with a simple but extremely useful technique, that is, taking advantage of the graininess of the paper. The thicker we lay on the pigment, the less we can see the texture of the paper. The thinner we lay it on, the more we can take advantage of the bumpy, rough texture. This can be a great advantage to any drawing. Learning how to mix and blend colors are essential skills when using PanPastels. You can achieve beautiful gradients and transitions by blending the pastels on the paper. You can lay one color on top of the other and gently blend. Remember to clean and wipe your sponges or applicators regularly to get rid of any excess pigment that is not required. Blending colors allows you to create smooth transitions and gradients and create some beautiful tones. In my upcoming portrait video, you'll see this technique in action. Pointillism. Pointillism is a technique where small dots or points of color are applied to create an image. Here's how we do it with PanPastels. I'm using a Q-tip or earbud to make small dots on the surface. You can vary the pressure and density of dots to create interesting textures. You can add as many or as few dots as you like, depending on the desired effect. I'm only using 2 colors, but you can use as many colors as you like, depending on the look you want to create. Mixing PanPastels with water can create a unique watercolor-like effect. All you need is a little pigment and a little water. Blend the two together and paint with a paintbrush. I intend to use this technique to create beautiful washes. Here I've used a light coloured base and painted a fun red swirl on top. Using a stamping tool. We rarely think of using stamping tools when we think about creating art with pastels, but it can be done and can be very useful to create patterns and textures. Dampen your stamping tool with water and apply the pigment directly onto the wet surface. And simply go ahead and make your mark. Easy, simple, and very effective. Stencils are another fantastic tool for adding patterns, intricate designs and textures to your artwork. Simply place your stencil on the paper and use a sponge or an applicator to apply pigment. Our trusty masking tape. It's a very useful tool when creating artwork. It's super useful when using pastels. Apply masking tape to areas that you want to protect from pigment. That done, start applying your colours. Once you're satisfied with the amount of pigment, carefully remove the masking tape to reveal clean, sharp shapes. Here I'm using a toothpick to help me lift the masking tape. Cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is a technique used to create texture and shading through the use of intersecting lines. Here's how. I'm using the very edge of my applicator and sponge to make thin, diagonal lines. You can place the lines as far or as close together as you desire, depending on the effect that you want. The next technique involves lifting pigment with the use of an eraser. We simply lay down our colour and use the edge of a small eraser to lift the pigment. This is a great technique once again for creating designs and patterns and also erasing small mistakes. One caveat, however, there's always a small amount of pigment left on the paper after using an eraser. Here I have some strange constellation arrangement, but you can be as creative as you like. Scoring involves using a scoring tool or a pointed object to create lines and patterns on a surface. That done, you can then apply your pigment. As I build up the pigment, you can see the pattern emerging. Feel free to be as creative as you like when creating your patterns and designs. Let's take a closer look. This next technique involves scraping, then collecting pan pastel dust and applying it to the surface of the paper. First, I apply slightly wet pigment with a paintbrush. Then I use a sharp tool and make some scrapings. Once I have enough, I gently sprinkle it onto the slightly damp surface. A paper towel comes in very handy to press the pigment firmly down onto the paper. Glue application. You can create negative space or a design using glue on the surface of your paper. Here, if you look closely, you can see the outline of the shape where I applied the glue. I had to wait a few hours for it to dry, so I did it prior to starting the project. As with the other techniques, the more I build up the pigment, the more you can see the design on the surface. So there you have it, 12 fun, creative ways to use pan pastels. Experiment a little with them in your own work. Don't forget, once you've completed your beautiful creations, use a fixative to make them permanent. Or, a cheap simple alternative is good old hairspray. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll have lots of fun experimenting with pan pastels.